You stand at a crossroads. To your left, a path lit by the cold, sterile glow of logic. To your right, a shadowed trail pulsing with the heat of instinct. Both stretch into fog. You've been here before. Every decision you've ever made lives in this liminal space. But what if you could climb above it? See the maze from above? Metacognition isn't just thinking about thinking. It's tearing open the ceiling of your mind and dangling your consciousness over the machinery below. Imagine watching your thoughts like a hawk circling prey, detached, ruthless, yet intimately aware of every tremor in the grass. This is the paradox. To master your decisions, you must become a stranger to yourself, a surgeon operating on your own brain. Think of the last decision you regretted. Was it the choice that failed or the process? We drown in data, yet starve for wisdom. Why? Because we're trapped in the basement of our cognition, groping at levers in the dark. Metacognition floods the room with light. It asks, what algorithm is running behind your eyes right now? Who programmed it? You, or the ghosts of every fear, bias, and half-remembered lesson you've ever absorbed? Here's the truth they won't tell you. Your mind is a battlefield. Neurons fire like artillery. Dopamine and cortisol clash like warring nations. And you're both the general and the casualty. Metacognition is the war room, the map stained with coffee and desperation where you plot to outsmart your own chaos. It's not peace, it's strategy. But be warned, once you start pulling these threads, the fabric of your reality unravels. That voice in your head, the one narrating this right now, it's not you. It's a character you've been cast to play. Metacognition hands you the script and the pen to rewrite it south. Do you stay in the maze or rise above it? You've chosen to climb out of the maze. Good. Now brace yourself. What you're about to see will fracture your sense of self. Metacognition doesn't just observe your thoughts, it splits you in two. One version acts, the other watches the act of acting. This is the double-edged mirror. To know your mind is to stand forever outside it, a ghost haunting your own biology. Think of your brain as a city, billions of streets, some well-traveled, others overgrown. Every habit, bias, and knee-jerk reaction is a neural pathway carved by repetition. Metacognition? It's the urban planner who lights a match and says, "This grid is a prison. Burn it." But here's the catch. You're arsonist and firefighter. You dismantle the lies your synapses whisper, even as they scream to stay buried. Let's dissect the cruelty of clarity. When you truly watch your mind, you'll notice something vile. Most of your decisions aren't decisions at all. They're reruns. Ancient survival scripts hijacked by modern anxieties. That meeting where you stayed silent? Not wisdom. A childhood fear of your father's disapproval, fossilized into neural circuitry. The relationship you sabotaged. Not logic. A primal revolt against vulnerability coded into your amygdala millennia before you existed. Metacognition forces you to autopsy these corpses, to ask, whose life am I living? Neuroscience confirms this rebellion. fMRI scans show that when we engage metacognition, the prefrontal cortex, the adult in the room, declares war on the limbic system's chaos. Dopamine plummets. Cortisol spikes. It's withdrawal from the drug of delusion. But in that detox, something rewires. Neural pathways that once felt inevitable begin to fray. New ones flicker, tentative, electric. This is the agony of growth. You must feel every synapse die before it's reborn. Yet there's a darker truth. The mirror doesn't just reflect, it distorts. Spend too long staring, and you'll start seeing ghosts. Why did I say that? Why do I want this? The questions metastasize. Certainty evaporates. Ancient philosophers called this aporia, the dizzying realization that you know nothing, least of all yourself. Modern psychology has a blunter term, cognitive dissonance. It's the price of admission to higher thought. But here's the alchemy. In that fissure between what you are and what you observe, power stirs. Studies show that metacognitive practitioners, those who habitually interrogate their thinking, develop thicker gray matter in regions governing emotional regulation. They don't just make better decisions, they become better decision makers. The shift isn't intellectual, it's morphological. You literally outgrow your old mind. So, are you predator or prey in this cerebral wilderness? The question isn't rhetorical. Every second you don't engage metacognition, your biology conspires against you. Default networks hijack focus. Confirmation bias poisons logic. And yet, lean too hard into scrutiny and you risk paralysis. The fate of Hamlet, lost in a hall of mirrors. Balance, then, is not the goal. Mastery is to wield self-awareness like a scalpel, not a sledgehammer, to cut when necessary, stitch when possible, and never mistake the map for the territory. Your mind is not yours. Let that sink in. Every decision you believe you've authored, what to eat, whom to trust, when to fight or flee, is a palimpsest, a parchment scraped clean and rewritten by generations of dead hands. You are not thinking. You are being thought by the unburied ghosts of survival strategies that outlived their usefulness centuries ago. Consider this. Your brain runs on pre-installed software. Updates are sparse, and half the code is encrypted. These are your shadow algorithms, invisible routines etched into your neural architecture by ancestors who dodged spears, famines, and witch hunts. Their fears calcified into your amygdala, their superstitions hardened into your heuristics. You call this intuition. Neuroscience calls it inherited malpractice. Take ancestral trauma, a 2018 study in Nature. Neuroscience found that mice exposed to electric shocks developed a fear of cherry blossoms, a scent paired with pain. Their grandchildren, never shocked, still froze at the smell. The trauma had rewritten their DNA. Now translate that to humans. Your inexplicable dread of abandonment? That might be your great-grandmother's starvation in the Great Depression, coded into your epigenetics. Your compulsive hoarding of money? A Neolithic forebear's trauma of winter scarcity, screaming through your prefrontal cortex. Metacognition isn't just self-awareness, it's archaeology. You dig until you hit the bone fragments of someone else's nightmare. But the past isn't done with you. Culture is a silent puppeteer. Think of the Stanford experiment where job applicants with white-sounding names received 50% more callbacks than identical resumes with black-sounding names. Your preferences are not preferences. They're cognitive Stockholm syndrome. The music you love, the partners you desire, the gods you worship, all bear the fingerprints of social contagions you mistook for choice. You are a Russian nesting doll of borrowed identities. Peel one layer, and another stares back, older and stranger. Then there's the Pavlovian loop, the most insidious algorithm. You wake up, check your phone, dopamine. You argue online, adrenaline. You binge Netflix, serotonin. Each time you repeat the cycle, the groove deepens. A 2022 neuron study revealed that habits don't live in the brain, they become the brain. Neural pathways thicken into ruts until free will becomes a myth you perform for the mirror. You are not making decisions. You are reenacting rituals for neurotransmitters that stopped caring decades ago. Metacognition is the debugger. It forces you to open Task Manager on your consciousness and ask, which of these processes are essential? Which are spyware? This is cognitive exorcism. You interrogate every impulse. Is this hunger or a dopamine void shaped like hunger? Is this love or an attachment wound disguised as love? The answers will terrify you. To witness your mind is to realize you've been colonized. But here's the paradox. You must rewrite the code while being part of the code, like a snake shedding its skin while still needing that skin to breathe. Nietzsche was right. When you stare into the abyss stares back. Except the abyss wears your face. The algorithms fight back. They must. Your identity depends on their lies. Tear one out, and phantom limb syndrome sets in. A hollow where certainty lived. Yet in that void, agency stirs. Neuroplasticity isn't poetry. It's revolt. Every time you pause before reacting, every moment you ask, why do I believe this? You forge a new pathway. Not better, not purer, just yours. Studies on Buddhist monks show that metacognitive practices like mindfulness don't just change thought patterns, they reduce the amygdala's physical size. You don't transcend biology, you hack it. So, what's your move? Keep running scripts written by dead men? Or risk the vertigo of authoring your own? You are not here, not really. The now you feel vibrating in your bones? A lie. Polished smooth by evolution. Neuroscience confirms it. Your brain lives 80 milliseconds in the past. Every sensation, every thought, every flicker of consciousness is a delayed broadcast. You're a time traveler, stranded in yesterday's light, mistaking reruns for reality. But metacognition? It's the cheat code, the glitch in the matrix. Let me explain. When a baseball player hits a 100-mile-per-hour fastball, they've already swung before the ball leaves the pitcher's hand. Not prediction, precognition. Their brain crunches millennia of ancestral data on projectile motion, muscle memory, and failure. Metacognition weaponizes this lag. It turns the delay into a decision-making superpower. You're no longer reacting to the world, you're reverse engineering it. Consider Leavitt's infamous experiment. Brain scans proved we decide to act half a second before consciousness catches up. Free will died that day. But metacognition resurrects it. By observing the machinery of choice as it grinds, you insert yourself into the gap. You hijack the delay. Think of it as mental time travel. You watch your future self make mistakes, then rewrite their script. Here's the brutal truth. Your present is a fossil. The argument you had this morning, the regret pooling in your chest, they're not happening. They're happened. Metacognition smashes the illusion. It forces you to confront the math. Life is lived in the tense of almost chosen, almost loved, almost free. To master decision-making, you must become fluent in futures that haven't breathed yet. Take memory? We assume it's a vault of truths. Wrong. Every recollection is a reconstruction, a neural puppet show where your present self rewrites the past to justify current delusions. Metacognition lights the stage. It asks, is this what happened, or what you needed to happen? Holocaust survivors and happy narcissists share this trait. Their memories bend to serve survival. Your autobiography is fan fiction, but there's hope in the horror. fMRI studies reveal that metacognition activates the brain's default mode network, the same region used for imagining futures. When you analyze your thinking, you're not just reflecting, you're preflecting, building mental simulations of outcomes like a strategist wargaming invasions. This is how elite pilots survive mid-air engine failures. How ER doctors triage under gunfire. They don't decide, they pre-decide, running scenarios on the conveyor belt of delay. The paradox sharpens. To act in the now, you must think in the not yet. But here's where most fail. They confuse metacognition with rumination. One is a scalpel, the other a chainsaw. Rumination obsesses over the fossilized past. Metacognition mines it for patterns, then projects them forward. Like a chess master playing 6 games at once, you hold multiple timelines in your skull. If I say this, she'll react thus. If I quit now, the dominoes will fall there. Yet this power demands blood. To live metacognitively is to exist in perpetual dissonance. You're the director and the actor, the novelist and the character. When your hand reaches for the third drink, part of you floats above, coldly narrating. Observe the child who still believes numbness equals safety. Relationships become prophecy. You see the breakup months before it happens, reading the cracks in your partner's voice like seismic charts. Is this enlightenment or a curse? Both. Ancient Buddhist texts warn of prajna, the sword of wisdom that cuts illusion but leaves the wielder bleeding. Modern data agrees. People high in metacognitive awareness report higher existential angst. They see too much. The magic eye poster of reality dissolves into dots. But this is the price of agency. You want better decisions? Trade certainty for clarity. Trade comfort for the terrible freedom of authorship. Every choice becomes a Schrodinger's cat. You must hold both success and disaster in your mind until the box cracks open. So, do you stay entombed in the 80-millisecond lag or weaponize the delay? Metacognition doesn't offer answers. It offers leverage, a way to pit the weight of all possible pasts against the chaos of all possible futures. The present isn't a place, it's a verb, an act of defiance against time itself. You are a fiction, a beautiful, necessary one, but a fiction nonetheless. The self you've spent decades curating, a mosaic of borrowed instincts, half-remembered traumas, and societal hallucinations. Metacognition doesn't just challenge this identity, it detonates it. What remains isn't emptiness, it's possibility. Think of a fractal, infinite complexity, born from simple patterns repeating across scales. Your mind works the same way. Every decision, every belief, every quirk is a recursive loop. The child afraid of the dark becomes the adult who panics in uncertainty. The teenage betrayal hardens into midlife cynicism. Patterns nest within patterns, each layer masquerading as choice. But peel them back, and you'll find no core, just another pattern, another echo. Neuroscience confirms this ghostly truth. Split-brain patients prove that consciousness is a confabulation. When surgeons sever the corpus callosum, the left hemisphere, desperate to preserve the myth of unity, invents elaborate lies to explain the right hemisphere's actions. Why did you laugh at that joke? Because the ceiling looked funny. The you cherish is a press secretary, spinning narratives to keep the chaos at bay. But metacognition calls the bluff. It forces you to confront the layers. Layer 1, biological puppetry. Your microbiome dictates cravings. Circadian rhythms govern willpower. Hormones script your moods. You're a meat algorithm. Layer 2, historical hauntings. Your grandfather's poverty, your mother's religion, your first bully's cruelty, all pilot your decisions like spectral co-authors. Layer 3, cultural hypnosis. The gods you worship, the borders you defend, The gender roles you perform, none are yours. They're hand-me-downs from dead strangers. Here's where it fractures. Dissociative identity. Disorder patients show that personality isn't singular. It's a parliament. Under hypnosis, alters, distinct identities, display different allergies, brainwave patterns, even eye colors. Metacognition reveals we all have these alters, just quieter. The workaholic, the people pleaser, the rebel, each claims to be you when the spotlight hits. So, who's in charge? No one and everyone. Like ants in a colony, your subpersonalities vote on decisions through neural democracy. The you that wakes up is just today's winning coalition. Metacognition is the coup. By observing these factions, why does the critic sabotage my confidence? Why does the hero need constant validation? You starve the despots and empower the diplomats. But beware, dismantling the fiction risks existential freefall. Studies on ego dissolution via psychedelics or meditation show that losing the self-narrative triggers either transcendence or terror. It's why cult indoctrination works. Break someone's fractal identity, and they'll cling to any replacement story, however absurd. Metacognition walks this edge. To rebuild, you must first unbuild. The rebuilding is the alchemy. Neuroplasticity lets you consciously design fractal patterns. Every time you ask, is this impulse truly mine, or a relic, you erase a loop. Every time you choose kindness over inherited rage, you code a new one. The process isn't self-improvement, it's self-assembly. Consider Stockholm Syndrome survivors. Their captors' values literally become their own. Yet through metacognitive work, they slowly disentangle the foreign code. It's brutal, meticulous, neurons firing in unmapped territories. But it proves the fractal can be rewritten. You are not your patterns. You're the pattern maker. Yet here's the ultimate twist. The moment you grasp this power, the illusion reassembles. The you observing the fractal becomes another layer, another story. This is the Mobius strip of consciousness, the observer forever becoming the observed. Wisdom isn't escaping the loop, it's directing it. So, who authors you now? The answer's in the question's tension. To decide is to dissolve. To dissolve is to decide anew. Chaos isn't a test, it's an X-ray. It strips your mind bare, exposing the rusted machinery beneath the veneer of control. When the storm hits, divorce papers, a diagnosis, a betrayal carved in blood, your fractal self shatters. What remains isn't you. It's raw cognition, howling. Here's the brutal calculus. Stress shrinks your prefrontal cortex by 30%. The amygdala hijacks your neural parliament, dissolving democracy into primal scream. You don't make decisions in crisis. They erupt from you, geysers of ancient code. Metacognition in this maelstrom isn't philosophy. It's combat. Think of firefighters in a flashover. Their training isn't memory. It's muscle. When temperatures hit 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, the brain's narrative self evaporates. What saves them? Metacognitive drills, pre-programmed loops of if-then scenarios carved into basal ganglia. They don't think. They meta-think, executing protocols written in quieter moments. Your crises lack such mercy. Your flames are emotional, invisible, self-replenishing. Let's dissect the anatomy of a panic spiral. A layoff notice arrives. Limbic systems scream famine as if you're a Pleistocene hunter stripped of tools. Cortisol floods the prefrontal cortex, dissolving modern priorities, mortgages, Netflix subscriptions into primal sludge. You're not deciding whether to update your LinkedIn. You're a hominid fighting extinction. Metacognition in this hellscape is counterintuitive. Lean into the unraveling. Studies on Special Forces operatives reveal a perverse truth. Those who mentally narrate their terror. My heart rate is 170. Adrenaline peaks at 3 minutes. Regain control faster. By objectifying the chaos, they create a cognitive air pocket. The storm still rages, but now there's an I, a place to choose. But here's the rub. You can't metacognize in the storm, only before and after. Like earthquake-proofing skyscrapers, you reinforce your mind during calm. Every quiet moment spent asking, what if, etches escape routes into neural concrete. Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl called this the last freedom, the gap between stimulus and response. But that gap isn't given. It's built brick by brick in the workshop of peacetime reflection. Yet crisis also gifts a grotesque clarity. When your marriage collapses, the shadow algorithms flare like neon. Why do I fear solitude? Whose abandonment am I reliving? Trauma surgeons note that severe pain annihilates bullshit. Patients under the knife don't quote Tony Robbins. They whisper raw truths. Metacognition under fire works similarly. Delusions burn away, leaving decision-making's scorched skeleton. But beware the aftermath. Post-crisis brains are fertile ground for cognitive weeds. UCLA research shows that within 72 hours of trauma, the mind compulsively replays events, cementing pathways. Every "I should have said" hardens into a neural statute. Metacognition here is rebar through wet concrete. You must interrogate the replays. Is this lesson or poison? So, how to prepare. Train your inner cartographer. Map your triggers before they detonate. Know which thoughts are tripwires, which emotions are sleeper agents. When the stock market crashes, the prepared don't see chaos. They see Black Friday for their trauma bonds. Buy low, sell never. But here's the ultimate paradox. The storm isn't your enemy. It's your mentor. Just as forests need wildfires to clear dead wood, your psyche needs chaos to incinerate obsolete selves. The person who walks out of the flames isn't wiser. They're lighter, unburdened by the weight of who they pretended to be. Will you let the storm define you or refine you? The answer isn't in the thunder. It's in the eerie silence between lightning strikes, where a single thought echoes. I am not what happens to me. I am what I do next.